Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning and good morning. My name is Dr. Stephanie Evans, and I am always honored to be the chair of African American Studies, Africana Women Studies, and History here at Clark Atlanta University. Today, February 23rd, 2013, we are here to honor the great William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, a scholar par excellence and an activist humanist. In The Souls of Black Folk, written here on this campus in 1903, Dr. Du Bois wrote, "The worker must work for the glory of his handiwork, not simply for pay. The thinker must think for truth, not for fame. And all this is gained only by human strife and longing, by ceaseless training and education, by founding right on righteousness and truth on the unhampered search for truth."
Du Bois was primarily a scholar, and so a major aspect of his impact is his articulation of theories, his interpretation of history, his proposals for progress for primarily peoples of African descent, but also for class struggle and the equality of races and so forth. So I would say Dr. Du Bois's impact on the world has been a philosophy that helps us to understand and struggle for equality of races and classes.
Dr. Du Bois's legacy is one of optimism in the African American community, and not only here in America, but those in the diaspora as well. And I think that he would be proud of how far we've come, but understand that we still have far to go. In the text that I looked at, The Souls of Black Folk, he talked about the prison system and how the justice system has been unfair to African Americans. And he talked a little bit about the education system and the disparities there between Black institutions and their white counterparts. And so with that disparity, I think that he would still see the progress that we've made, but also understand that we still have far to go to catch up to our whiter counterparts here in America. And so now I'm going to begin my fractal analysis, or discuss my fractal analysis, on W.E.B. Du Bois's The Souls of Black Folk. And so in the text, Du Bois defines souls, which is plural. It's a play on words referring to the two-ness that African Americans felt at the time. The two souls, the two thoughts, two unreconcilable strivings, excuse me, in one dark body. Du Bois's use of souls refers to his concept of double consciousness, whereby African Americans are torn between two worlds, that of the American way of life, looked upon as a foreigner or someone different from their whiter counterparts, and that of an African from the continent. The notion of double consciousness is prevailing throughout his text and is used throughout the entire work. He also defines what he means to be Black in America. He states that the Negro is a sort of seventh son, born with a veil and gifted with second sight, which yields him no true self-consciousness because the Negro sees himself through the revelations of others in the world. Basically, African Americans, according to Du Bois at the time, were unable to have self-consciousness because they were forced to see themselves through the eyes of others, and at the time, they were typically looked on with pity or contempt.
His main contribution was his discussion of the process of knowing, how we come to know. His idea that all knowing begins with the people who are involved, and that you begin with the life of the people who are involved, and you move from there to try to understand the universal. I think that is, for me, the major contribution of Du Bois.
As far as Black values, one aspect that he really emphasized was the value of community. working together and not being individualistic, and that whatever individual goals you have are not for your own self-benefit, but for the collective benefit of Black people as a community, and also internationally. He felt we also had a responsibility to those within the African diaspora. So my own elevation is not mine alone, it's shared with you and with everyone else.
Well, you know, the impact is still unfolding. Because of racism, I'm in sociology. He's not usually read in sociology, even though I think his work, Black Reconstruction, is the greatest work of historical sociology in the 20th century. But he really mapped out, if you read him, the course of a lot of American and world history. And so people who are familiar with his work realize that he's inspired a lot of academic scholarly inquiries today, critical race theory, world systems analysis. Really, he should be seen as one of the founding fathers.
W.E.B. Du Bois believed that the continued drive for group advancement and community empowerment by African Americans in this period necessitated the development of institutions that would produce a highly educated, politically astute generation of leaders capable of representing Black interests within the white power structure while remaining independent from it. He believed in educating African Americans according to ability, which is something related to his concept of the talented 10th, and for continued political agitation against segregationist customs and laws in the South. His debate and his beliefs over Black education effectively split the African American intellectual community, and HBCUs such as Clark Atlanta, such as Howard University, found themselves in two separate camps. His works and his philosophies not only influenced the institutions themselves and the way that they developed and the philosophies that they espoused in their institutions to their students, but they also inspired scholarship from his generation all the way to ours, and certainly for decades beyond.